Our city should uphold the warrants the International Criminal Court issues, whether it be for Benjamin Netanyahu or Vladimir Putin.
And he's basically out here saying Benjamin Netanyahu is equally as bad as Vladimir Putin. Not really surprising, considering the fact that this guy is buddy-buddy with Alex Soros, the inheritor of the George Soros fortune, and also the de facto heir to the Open Society Foundation and all the political ambitions and workings of George Soros, who is a staunch liberal Zionist. Zohran Mamdani won the New York City mayor election this week, and I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone. The mainstream media and the political elite kind of made this whole election a litmus test based upon whether or not you support genocide in Gaza. And big surprise, the people of New York do not support genocide in Gaza. I mean, this is at a point in time where 60% of American Jews say that they believe war crimes are being committed in Gaza. 38% of American Jews say that a genocide is being committed in Gaza. They are correct. And, well, you know, if that many Jewish Americans oppose what's going on, it's really no surprise that Mamdani's going to win, okay? Because obviously, as a Muslim candidate, that sort of demographic was going to be his big issue. But actually, Jewish voters overwhelmingly voted for Zohran Mamdani. I also think it's important to point out that since January of 2025, Trump's approval rating amongst Americans aged between 18 to 29 years old has decreased by 50%. What is behind all of this? I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I think it's Epstein files, the cover up there. I think it's Charlie Kirk, the whatever they're covering up. They're covering up something. They're not giving us the full truth about what's happening with Charlie Kirk in this investigation. I think, of course, waging all these wars, whether it's escalation with Russia in some ways he's had, you know, positive developments with Russia, strikes on Iran, strikes on Yemen, backing of Israel's violations, ceasefire violations in Gaza, in Lebanon, and the continued genocide in Gaza, as well as now new threats of war in not just Venezuela, maybe Colombia, but also Nigeria. The truth about Zohran Mamdani, though, is that it's really not all that difficult to be opposed to genocide. A politician should have to earn your support. If a politician wants your vote, they should have to earn it. For Zohran Mamdani, I mean, this guy is going out there, and everyone talked about the fact that he said, oh, well, I'll arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to New York City. Okay, I mean, this guy also said that he wants to arrest Vladimir Putin. Why did no one mention this? He's basically out here saying Benjamin Netanyahu is equally as bad as Vladimir Putin.
This is a city that believes in international law. This is a city whose values are ones that deserve to actually be reflected in our commitments. And I think that our city should uphold the warrants the International Criminal Court issues, whether it be for Benjamin Netanyahu or Vladimir Putin. And
hey, there it is. We should arrest Vladimir Putin because he's basically like Netanyahu. They're basically all Hitler. Okay, so why do you want to arrest Putin? You said you wanted to arrest Putin because you're globalist donors, because George Soros and Alex Soros told you to, because he's talking a lot about Netanyahu, but not, you know, saying something, we want to arrest Putin. That's kind of a big deal considering the United Nations is located within New York City. Now, one of the cool things that Mamdani discussed quite a bit during his election and prior to his election when he was a state senator was the fact that the NYPD has an active training base inside of Israel. They have a liaison office in Israel. The NYPD is oftentimes trained by the IDF. And he would discuss this and he'd bring up this point and he'd be like, this is terrible. We shouldn't be doing this. The NYPD should not have this relationship with Israel. Seems as though Zohran Mamdani is not going to change anything after making such a stink about this real issue, because he's announced he will keep Jessica Tisch as NYPD commissioner. Jessica Tisch, if you don't know, she's like major Zionist. Maybe she'll resign on her own. Maybe that's his thinking. But, you know, if he really believes there are such horrific crimes being committed by the Israelis and you know, this relationship with the NYPD is so terrible, then don't you think one of the first things he would do is say, yeah, we're going to shut down the NYPD liaison office in Israel. We are going to also stop the IDF, the Israeli training of NYPD officers. And yeah, we're going to fire Tisch, because that's what I would do. That's literally what I would do. I don't care what Tisch's reaction is. I don't care what Bill Ackman's reaction to that is. I mean, yeah, we're going to do it. Now, here's an interesting point that, again, a lot of people failed to address, failed to bring up, because, of course, Mamdani was painted as an anti-Semite. Take a listen to what he says about his belief in the state of Israel.
Mr. Mamdani, same question. Does the state of Israel have the right to exist?
Yes, like all nations, I believe it has a right to exist and a responsibility also to uphold international law.
Okay.
The international law, the internet. Yeah, we're gonna hold Israel accountable with the international law. Like, stop, bro. It's so cringe. It's like, can we just move past this? The international law has effectively permitted and applauded a genocide for the past 2 years. Can we move past this whole, the international, because obviously the international law not working. Obviously something bigger needs to be done. Obviously there needs to be less tolerance for what is going on in Gaza besides just waving your finger and saying you're not following international law. So Zohran Mamdani says, yes, Israel has a right to exist. Not really surprising considering the fact that this guy is buddy with Alex Soros, the inheritor of the George Soros fortune, and also the de facto heir to the Open Society Foundation and all the political ambitions and workings of George Soros, who is a staunch liberal Zionist. George Soros has donated millions of dollars to J Street, which is the liberal wing of AIPAC. This is the wing of AIPAC that funds Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is the wing of AIPAC that, if I'm not mistaken, also supports Bernie Sanders. These are the sorts of Zionists that say, we believe in Israeli statehood. We just believe that the ethnic cleansing should happen at a slower pace. It shouldn't be so in your face. It shouldn't be so horrific to the eyes. It shouldn't be on our social media every single day. Do it slower so people don't notice as much. And that's not any better. Doesn't matter if you have Mamdani. It doesn't matter if you have Cuomo. You're still going to have the same exact person leading New York City at the end of the day. Zohran Mamdani also received over $37 million from Soros-funded organizations. Now, what does that mean? The organizations that are quite literally bankrolled by George Soros, such as the Working Families Party, contributed in total, various organizations donated this much money to Mamdani. He's quite literally Soros-funded. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, we love Mamdani. He's such a revolutionary. He appointed, an all-woman of color, with the exception of one. I guess one of them looks white. He appointed an all-woman transition team today after he won the election. How progressive. I don't care about your stupid gender politics. I don't care. What do I care about? I care about the fact that these so-called democratic socialists just appointed Zionist executives from the Ford Foundation, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Bloomberg and de Blasio administrations to his transition team. That's who he appointed. But your all-woman transition team is literally the Ford Foundation executives, de Blasio staff, Bloomberg staff. It doesn't get any more corporate elitist Zionist pro-war than that. This guy, by the way, said that Maduro's a dictator. At the same time, he's saying, I oppose Trump. I'm the most opposed to Trump. No one is more anti-Trump than I am. At the same time, what is he doing? He's greenlighting Trump's war on Venezuela, this illegal regime change war on Venezuela, by going out and saying that not just Maduro, the Venezuelan president, is a dictator. In an interview, he said that, and he also said that Cuban president Diaz-Canel is a dictator as well. Make it make sense. Icing on the cake. Today, we get some news. Mamdani says he will meet with Jamie Dimon, other financial titans in New York City. Now, there's only one good reason why anyone should meet with the executives of Wall Street and the major financial institutions in the United States, and that should be to throw them in prison. Now, Mamdani is going to be meeting with Jamie Dimon so he can get some payouts and he can do their bidding and he can make sure that they don't attack him. These are classic backroom deals. So who is Jamie Dimon? He is the CEO of Chase Bank. He's meeting with the CEO of Chase Bank, one of the most corrupt, over-leveraged banks in the United States, financial institutions in the United States. This is who Mamdani says he's going to meet with one day after he wins the election. You're not a socialist. You're a Democrat who appointed Ford Foundation pricks to his administration. This whole other thing, like, we're going to do the rent freeze. De Blasio did 3 rent freezes in his administration. De Blasio, corporate Democrat to the core, doesn't even try to have these progressive overtures. 3 rent freezes during his administration. And we're acting like Zohran Mamdani is some like Che Guevara for saying he's going to do 1 rent freeze. It's insane. People are so stupid. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.